G'day. Welcome back to another day at Griffith's garden. Doesn't look real flash, does it? It's not. It's a bit windy, a bit warm. Some would say it's a bit shitty. Anyway, you get that. So today's tomato planting day. We finally made it. A few more days later than what we would like to have been, but sometimes you don't always get time to do what you want to do, right? Here we have 4 different varieties of tomatoes and a mix of determinate and indeterminate that I explained earlier. So these are all grown from our own seeds that we saved from last year. It's obviously a little bit hit and miss. Some grow well, some don't. You don't always get those choices when you grow from your own seeds. So let's have a quick look at what we got. These taller ones are what's called sash or sasha. And I might add that we got most of these maybe 2 of them from a couple of doors down. So we're recycling from their seeds. So some of them aren't exactly what you would buy at the shop, that's for sure. But if it works for you, grow it in your own garden, you know what you got. There's no question about that. So, trusty old Roma tomato. Everybody knows what Roma tomatoes are, surely. It's probably the most common, well-known tomato. You do buy them from the supermarkets, but more often than not, it's a paste, passata, sauce type tomato. So there's a couple more of them. So these are a bush tomato. So they grow, well actually these ones grew quite tall last year, but a determinate tomato. So they have a fixed height. They grow lots of branches and they set fruit generally throughout all at the same time on the plant. So you can essentially wait till the end of the season and pick them all, and you got fantastic fruit ready for post-processing. So a quick look through here. There's another variety called Blue Mountain. This is one that came from down the road. This is an interesting one, to be honest. I think it's a little bit confused. And we were a bit confused when we grew it last year because configuration control of tomato seeds doesn't always go to plan, but what we thought we had in as Blue Mountains of stick tomatoes, we also had in as bush tomatoes. I think they are a stick tomato, but they grew unbelievably well as a bush tomato. So much so that we're going to plant them as both this year, and that'll be another test to see which way they grow best. These guys, if you think about a supermarket tomato in terms of shape and colour and uniformity, they grew like that, their fruit. But they were quite large tomatoes, more like the standard heirloom type things, beefsteak type things, and a lot meatier. By that I mean lots more flesh. So we're going to do these both ways this year. And the 4th variety we have is not going so well. That's San Marzano, which is maybe an older version, an older type or variety than the Roma tomato. Certainly a little bit longer and absolutely perfect for pastes and sauces and so on as well. So that's the varieties that we have this year. Blue Mountains, San Marzano. Oh, there we go, we actually got 2, beauty. There's the others. And the last one here is another sash. So they will be stick tomatoes. Now it's a matter of figuring out what we want to put where. So just while we're down here, I thought I'd bring you down and have a little bit of a closer look. These sashes are very leggy, but that's fine because we'll put them in the ground, probably up to here, as deep as we can. The Blue Mountain, they're a pretty reasonable sort of a seedling. Again, not what you might find at your local nursery or thereabouts, but you know, you probably do find these tucked away at the back somewhere because they show you the best and they get lots of them. The Roma, again, is another stocky little thing, as is the San Marzano. Not the one on the left so much, but there's 6 rows in here. Probably not enough tomatoes to fill it up. So this end one, we've bought a punnet of 8 mixed capsicums. There's all sorts in here, but look at it, normal bell peppers or capsicums. Looks like there's some longer Hungarian style capsicums or peppers. So they're going to fill this first row. Then we're going to go, then we're going to go 2 rows of bush tomatoes. 1, 2. Then if we have enough to do 2 rows of stick tomatoes, we'll do that. And this bed will probably remain empty. I'm not even sure we'll fill the second last one up. And of course down here you know that we're going to put lettuces. So how are we going to go about putting them in? I've already cut some slits in the mesh, or the weed mat I should say. And we'll see how that goes when I start putting them in, whether it's big enough or not. That's dry under there deliberately. It's almost impossible to plant into mud, it's just such a mess. But the irrigation is under there, so as soon as they're in the ground, I'll turn that on and that can stay on for some time until such time that everything is nice and moist. So we'll start at the other end and get the capsicums in the ground. So let's have a look at these capsicums. Now, they're all bunched together in the same pot, so not individually potted, if you like. And if you can see that, they're just one mass. So we can break that apart like we did the other day, just gently, and tease it apart, and you can leave the majority of the roots on there without breaking too many. There you go. Okay, so there's a double one there, fine. And we're left with, we don't really want that little guy there, it's not going to do anything useful. Flies, not very useful either. So I just continue to break these apart. Oh, this one's a bit interesting. Yep, one more. Okay, so now that they are separated, we don't want to muck around with them. Get them in the ground fairly soon. So for me, it's just dig a hole in there with your hand, put it in, and squash the dirt around. Press it down like that, give it a bit of stability by squashing the dirt in. And we're done. So it really is as simple as that. As soon as that gets some water on it, it should be happy. So I'm going to put the rest of these in along here. get these as deep as possible. Well, that's the sea sole put on all the tomatoes. They've all been watered in. I've got the drip line on. It's been on for a little while now. So the tomatoes in for 2024, 24-25 summer. We have a row of stick tomatoes, variety of Sasha. This one here is Blue Mountain and Sasha. This one here is Blue Mountain, but we've done this in bush tomato configuration. These are Roma, and well, they're not tomatoes at all, so that's pretty easy. That's the various capsicum varieties. So, as a backyard gardener, whether it be your backyard, a big backyard, a small backyard, a courtyard, a balcony, you too can grow big juicy tomatoes. Not necessarily like this because you won't have the space, but in a pot, in a raised bed, even on a kitchen bench, as long as you've got enough sunshine, you can do that too. So for this part, we planted out the tomatoes for the season. You would have seen all the sticks over here against the wall. That's what we'll use on these 2 rows of stick tomatoes. And what's not there is star pickets. I'll show you what they are later. We'll put those in on each end of the rows so that we can draw wires between each end and lean the sticks against, or trellis in the case of the bush tomatoes. And the capsicums even as well. So lots more to go yet. Plenty more parts in this series. At least now we have tomatoes in the ground, and that's a fantastic thing. At this time of the year, as I said before, we're a little bit late with our tomatoes, but this is a funny season, right? You don't always get the same thing when you're growing backyard tomatoes. This year is a little bit cool so far, but also very, very windy. It's not normally this windy, but it's also quite cold. This morning was 8 degrees Celsius, so couldn't tell you exactly what that is in F, but it's still pretty cool. Cold, not so cool. Anyway, I think that's it for today. So thanks very much. That's it from Griffith's Garden for today. Now I've just come out to have a bit of a look and see how the patch is going in the evening after planting. And can you see what I can see? 1, 2, 3, 4 capsicums gone. 1, 2 tomatoes gone. Potentially 1 down here. All I can suggest is that that's or something along those lines. They've got in here and absolutely gone to town within what, an hour or so of these things. And that's destroyed. They've pulled it out and snapped it off. That one is potentially salvageable. They've ripped the top off of that one, and it's probably not going to grow. So the joys of suburban gardens, right? Wow. You try and do your best to put your summer tomatoes and capsicums in, your fruit and vegetables for the year, or at least for this part of the year. And these guys come along and just tear it out. So, I'm going to have to try and salvage some, but there you go. Thanks to the bird life, we're going to be down a few.